After being off the bike for quite a while, I decided to hit up another Zwift race and see how well I could do. But this race absolutely broke me.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now.
Hey Zwifters, and welcome back to another Zwift racing video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Chasing It Tour race that I tackled around a couple weeks ago, and this was one of the hardest races I have done in my past on Zwift racing. And the unique thing about this race is that these chasing racing series is they're all a lot longer races meant to simulate the IRL races that are happening alongside. So a lot of these are the classics races that are happening inside real life, and you get to sort of emulate that on your trainer by tackling a race of a similar distance and intensity in terms of elevation gain and the amount of distance you are going to be traveling. While this wasn't my longest race, it has been around 5 months since I've done a race over 10 miles, and this is about 4 times that length. It's around 37 miles in length and quite a bit of elevation gain with some very punchy climbs in between. So this was certainly going to be a challenge, but I was up for the challenge and I was ready to see just how much fitness I had maintained through not even riding maybe once a week. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the categories are completely different from normal Zwift categories. In this race, the categories are mainly based off of your racing experience. So I was racing category C because I was not necessarily the most experienced in the past 90 days because I haven't been doing much Zwift racing recently. And a lot of these riders who are with me are also around my same level, around category B. So it was a very leveled playing field, and I think we all had a shot at snagging that win as we were all sort of hanging together. And it says that I'm 37th place, but in terms of my category, I'm actually in contention for 2nd place. So we have a group of around 10 riders here, all from around 2nd to 12th place in this race. So we're all, the win is pretty much up for grabs, as there is one rider who's way off the front, who's not really supposed to be in the same category as us, but has not been upgraded yet. Now, as you can probably expect, this part of the race is pretty boring and not much happens. We're going to go through the Ocean Boulevard in a sec, and then we are going to hit a KOM, which is when everything really starts to light up in this race. The interesting thing is we have four KOMs during this race, and each of those is going to be pretty much a maxed out effort, and we're going to drop a lot of riders over those climbs. So it's very interesting to see who hangs on and who doesn't hang on, so you can really start to thin out the competition and start to get a playing field that's going to be the final riders who are in contention for that win. Now, another cool thing is that I am riding the Wahoo Kicker move, as I am currently using it for a review that I have coming out shortly, and it does provide 10 Hz transmission, so watts are going to update a lot quicker, and I do get a lot more movement when I'm riding, which really helps for these longer rides. Now, hitting this KOM, you can see here that I immediately ramped my power up to around 280 to 300 watts. Now, since I am a lot heavier since the last time that I raced, 300 watts isn't quite a lot anymore, and it is now sort of around 7-ish watts per kilogram, maybe 6-ish, and it's sort of in between that zone. So it is still just as hard for me, but I do have to work a lot harder now in order to keep up with these riders up this climb. You can see here that I am into the top 3 here in my group here, and I'm sort of just following along on the wheels because I know that I am perfectly capable of sticking with these riders, as on the other round up I was pretty much solo going all the way up this climb. I tried to create some separation, but nobody was really coming with me, so I was sort of stuck there solo in the front, just working my butt off for no reason, and that was sort of useless. So I decided to give it a different approach and really just wait for other riders to make the moves so I can just follow them and use the draft and really just see how riders are feeling in this race. Now, at this point in the race, my legs were already pretty tired, and you can see here that my watts aren't quite as high as they were at the start of the climb. I'm starting to fade quite a bit, and I'd say on the other round up the KOM, I was averaging around 290 to 300 watts. So this is definitely a lot slower than we had gone the other round up, but I was completely solo, so I didn't have anyone to draft behind, so my times were roughly the same. You can see here this rider up the front in category D is just pulling ahead here and really just bringing the pace up just ever so slightly, but we are still sitting at a very comfortable pace, and I'm just sitting in and letting them do the work. Now we roll pretty smoothly through this climb, and I'm able to stick towards the front of the group, and right here you can see that I'm able to sit in at around 100 watts, 150 watts, and I'm just drafting, letting them do the work, but I do end up falling slightly off the back, so I do put in a bit of a surge, but overall, staying really comfortably in this group. My heart rate is quite elevated at around 180 beats per minute, so I'm trying to get that lowered as we go down this climb and head into this final stretch, because I know that I will need to be decently recovered in order to have a semi-decent sprint at this point in the race, because I am certainly not used to these endurance races, and my legs are sort of hitting that feeling where you just feel like you have absolutely nothing left. You can maybe put a small burst of power in, but honestly nothing major. You can see here one rider attacks off the front. I'm just like, okay, really? Do you really have to do this? I hate it when people do this right towards the end of the ride, because I'm sort of a person who likes to do sort of an all-out sprint at the end rather than having a slow ramp up at the start and everyone just chasing for the last mile of the race. And that's exactly what's happening right here. You can see here I'm up to 300 watts just trying to chase and do whatever I can, because I know that nobody behind me is really putting in the work to catch those riders, and I'm trying to absolutely do the most I can to stay in somewhat of a good position to actually have a chance at that win. Now, as usual, I'm very ambitious, and I'm always thinking about that win, even though I know that's probably not realistic, but that's always in mind when I am racing. If you are enjoying this video, please smash the subscribe button. It really does help support the channel, and with that, let's continue on with the video. Now, coming through the SCs, we are going at a pretty decent pace, but you can see here I have absolutely horrible positioning. This is not where I want to be 1 mile out from the race, now less than a mile out from the race finish, and I really want to be in that top 5 to 7 position, so I can really just slingshot myself right when that sprint starts and just be ready to just jump on whoever goes first in that sprint finish. But you can see here I start to try to move up, but then I lose my position around this corner, and everyone starts to swarm me as I lower my power ever so slightly, and everyone's sort of just coming through past me right here as we make that intersection. And you can see here that I am now pretty much in last place in the group, and I'm sort of stressing here, thinking like, okay, this is not good. You can see here putting a surge around 280, 300 watts, just trying to move up here, and I'm not able to move up that much as we are on a downhill. So I sort of give up and just say, okay, I'm gonna sit in until this sprint finish and just make the most of this finish, because I know it's not going to be the best that I possibly could have done with better positioning, but it is certainly going to be a hard effort. You can see here, power starts to ramp up. People are starting to go off the front, but I'm not really going yet. I'm still waiting for that one person to just fly by me, and that's when I know it's time to go. Right here, that's that moment. You can see that rider in the back pedal kit goes right by me. I hit 500 watts, very happy with that max power, but honestly, I just can't sustain anything at this point with this little cycling fitness. I just don't have anything left. You can see here, fading already down to 350 watts after starting at 500. Not the best look, and you can see here going all the way down to around 0 watts, gliding through the finish. You can see here that I ended up coming 5th in my category. Overall, solid finish. I did miss the podium by 2 slots, but honestly, it is what it is, and I did absolutely race to the most I could have. Now, this race in particular really broke me, and I just had absolutely nothing left in the tank at the end of this race. So kudos to those riders who were racing in this race. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all learned something or enjoyed this video. And yeah, see you all next time, and ride on.